Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. And thank you for your attendance today at the information session regarding the Career Accelerator. I'll touch on that in a moment. My name is Daniel Cairns. I'm the Head of Enrolments here at 4th Rev, and it does give me great pleasure to welcome you and to host this special event featuring some amazing panelists that we're going to hear from shortly. We're thrilled to have you join us today because today's event is about you. You're on a decision-making journey, and this is designed to assist you. But in doing so, I ask that all throughout the webinar that you post some questions in the Q&A box so that we can certainly answer those questions for you that may be pertinent to your own circumstances or help others as well. Whether you're here to explore a career change into data science or advance your existing role or even kickstart your career, this session will provide you the information you need to decide if the Cambridge ICE Career Accelerator in Data Science with Machine Learning and AI is for you. And we'll spell out some of that and certainly answer your questions along the way. Forgive me if I come across a little even more passionate than usual. If you've seen me in other webinars hosting them, I've not long come back from a trip that did involve a visit to Cambridge and specifically Mattingley Hall. So I'm very excited and very enthused, and surely that will come through, no doubt. But it was an absolute thrill for me, as it will be for any of you that get to go there and meet the team from Cambridge ICE as well. Without further ado, just before I do move on, we will be recording the session, obviously, and that will be made available post the event, the recording. And we'll have some assets for you in the chat function, but really keen to get your questions in the Q&A function. So Q&A for questions, chat for the assets, and a poll that we'll have, and we'll move along quite quickly. Conscious of time as well with a large panel, so we'll move straight into meeting our panel, which is always a highlight for me, and especially when we have 4 such great guests today. If I can get everyone to turn on your cameras, and I'll ask, I might start with Fred, actually. If you can introduce yourself briefly, Fred.
Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, I'm a coach, career coach who's been with 4th Rev now for almost 3 years. Before that, I've done mostly executive coaching, career and executive coaching and leadership development since around 2005, so it's 20 years. And before that, I worked in banking and finance. I did an economics degree, so I've got like a couple of years experience there as well. But the support and the, let's say, be a large team of coaches as well. The support on the program is, I would say, one of the most valued aspects of these career accelerators. So welcome, and I wish you all the best on your studies if you do decide to join. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. We love the outcomes that you guys certainly foster our learners to achieve, and are very proud of that as well. Sian, over to you. Thank you, and a quick introduction.
Hi, so I'm Sian. I started out my career as a research scientist in genetics. I spent about 10 years doing that in a kind of evolutionary and medical field. And then I've now switched into data science and AI using this course. We
love hearing that and look forward to learning more about your journey, your inspiring journey, Sian, as well. Zarif, I'll come to you next, if that's okay, and we'll come to Dr. Ali last.
Sure. Hi, I'm Zarif. My background is in chemical engineering with specialisms in modeling and simulations. Professionally, my work experiences are primarily in automation. That was mostly non-data science related, but I've now switched to data science through this course.
Excellent. And again, thank you, firstly, and we can't wait to hear more. Dr. Ali, welcome back first and foremost from an exciting trip, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ali Shahbaz. I'm the Academic Director for Digital Skills Courses at the Institute of Continuing Education, University of Cambridge, and leading this program. And I'm really glad to see Sian and Zarif. They both excellent graduate from our courses. and hopefully you will all have the same story of the journey. Feel free to ask me for any question regarding the course, but happy to go through that with you today.
Wonderful. Thank you all. We certainly look forward and very much appreciate your insights today that will be of great value for those in attendance as well. Moving on to the next slide, just to frame the industry aspect and demand. Currently, data science is one of the most in-demand fields globally, with high salaries and career flexibility. There's 10x more job growth than the national average across all occupations. 36% growth in data roles by 2033, and an average salary of 51k per year in the UK, depending on level of experience and transferable skills that are so valuable as well, that we'll hear from Fred about, no doubt, as well. But companies across industries, from health tech to fintech, healthcare to fintech, are looking for skilled data professionals, and this is only growing with the introduction and advent or adoption of AI as well. The good news, though, the demand for data science fast outstrips supply, making this a fantastic time to invest in your skills. We've got a poll for everyone just to engage with first, and that'll pop up now. But which industry are you most interested in working in with data science skills? So there's, as you can see, technology, finance, healthcare, HR, manufacturing, or other. And we'll have a look at the data as well, but also use that data with things like industry projects and the like in the future that we'll touch on a little bit later as well. We'll give everyone a moment just to tick what is best or most appropriate for them as well before I give a quick overview of the Career Accelerator. So what is unique? Well, there's many unique aspects to the Career Accelerator, but our program blends academic rigor, globally leading academic rigor, with practical application. You'll gain hands-on skills, build a professional portfolio that is so valued in job seeking, and collaborate with leading organisations such as the Bank of England and others that we're announcing on real-world projects. This isn't just about learning Python, it's about understanding how to use data to drive decision-making in real businesses. That's the value. Employers have helped us shape this course to ensure graduates have exactly the skills that employers are seeking. It's a 7-month course made up of a 7-month program made up of 4 courses. There's 20 industry relevant mini and major projects that you submit along the way that go towards you building your portfolio. And there's an employer project at the end. So 7 months online, working on business case scenarios with the likes of Bank of England Study Group, Pure Gym, Nelson's, others, that enable you to adapt transferable skills from those mini and major projects into your own environment or into the environment in which you're employed. It's rigorous in the sense that it's on average expected to be about 20 hours per week, and there is a blend of synchronous and asynchronous activities. Synchronous in that you'll have live sessions with the Cambridge academics and fortnightly sessions with an industry mentor, as well as your individual one-on-one sessions with a career coach monthly. And the rest is asynchronous, meaning it is designed to fit in with you rather than you fit in with the university timetable. Perfect for those that are juggling other life priorities, as we all are. But the majority of our learners are certainly working full time and fitting this in around their other commitments as well. It is, don't get me wrong, a rigorous program designed to take you from some data knowledge to data scientist within that 7-month period. So let's be real, there are sacrifices, and we'll hear from our esteemed learners regarding the sacrifices to be made along the way, but the reward is obviously your intended career outcome much, much sooner, given the practical nature of the program and the career coaching element. There's a great deal of support from the Cambridge academics, Dr. Ali and his team, industry mentors, Fred and his team of career coaches, and a success manager that will help you with anything course related. So there is a great deal of support enabling you to succeed in an online learning environment as well. And your learning outcomes, as practical as they are in building your portfolio, culminate in the opportunity of participating in a live industry-facing project at the end to frame that quickly for you, and we might go to the next slide actually. Course 1, as I said, goes for 6 weeks before you get a week's break after that. Course 2 is similar. Course 3 does run a little bit longer. It's a 10-week course that is broken up with a week in between, and then your learning outcomes, as I was saying, enable your participation in the live industry-facing project. That project is invaluable, and we'll hear more about that certainly from our learners. But to frame it quickly, it enables learners to, as a part of a team, meet with one of our industry partners who will present to you a real live data-related scenario that they currently experience within their organisation. And you as a team, over a 6-week project, will come up with innovative and tangible solutions using the skills obtained and accessing their both publicly and privately held data sets to come up with innovative and tangible solutions, presenting your recommendations back to the client, if we can call them that, in a consultancy style presentation. The benefit of that is numerous. It is practical application in the real world of your learning. It is brilliant for networking, both with your peers, but also with leaders of industry. And lastly, when you are going for your data science role, be it a career change or an advancement of one's existing career, it is a very powerful demonstration of your value to a prospective or current employer to relay the real experience that you do have. Because as we know in an interview, you'll always be asked, what experience do you have? You'll build foundational and advanced skills in machine learning, statistics, and AI. But the real differentiator is that hands-on project where you'll solve those problems, real world business challenges with the likes of Bank of England or others as well. On that, I do have a question for Dr. Ali. I guess from your experience and knowledge in designing the program, can you give us a little bit more info on the program structure or what learners can expect?
Thank you, Dan. Thanks a lot for the brief. Yeah, of course. I would like just to brief before I go through the course. When we designed this course, actually we did a market research and we had around meeting with the CEOs at the industry and learn from them about what kind of skills gap, what are the gaps within the market and what are the skills needed in the industry. And we compile all these information and design the course. So we end up with the course 1. It's all about statistics. So we built, you're going to build fundamental and advanced skills in machine learning, statistics, and AI. But actually, the real differentiators in is the hands-on employer project at the end, where you will solve a real business challenge for an organization like Bank of England. So when we start, you're going to start with course 1 with applying statistics and for core data science. And you learn these. The reason of having this course is to make sure we have such a diverse group from different subjects, different backgrounds, and we have to make sure they are at the same ground. And when we move to course 2, in course 1 there will be 2 projects, assessed projects. You will receive that information and you have time to do it and submit it. In course 2 there will be solving business problem with supervised learning and unsupervised learning algorithms, machine learning algorithms. In course 3, which is the longest one, there will be 2 techniques you're going to learn, natural NLP, natural language processing, and time series analysis. And there will be also 2 projects. The final part is the employer project. This is a 6-week live business project with currently with Bank of England. You're going to learn during this journey, you're going to move from this level to another level in data as a data scientist. I would like to refer to my great graduate, Zarif and Sean. They will tell you the story. They've been in this, they were in your situation last year, and currently they are doing great. and they can share their experience. If you have any question, please drop it in the Q&A. I'm happy to consider it.
Thank you, Dr. Ali, and there are some great questions coming through as well. The Career Accelerator is designed at postgraduate level 7 level, although it's a certification, not a qualification. But this becomes particularly relevant when supporting learners with personal branding, such as on CVs, LinkedIn profiles. Fred, can I ask you, your good self, how can you, or could you elaborate on positioning of the Career Accelerator in particular on one's personal branding, CV and LinkedIn profile?
Sorry, yeah, yes, Daniel. I think let's say the branding question, especially for people go through transition from one field to the other, let's say the importance of reassessing how you brand yourself, what kind of roles you're positioning yourself at, and communicating it effectively in your CV, and of course on LinkedIn, make a huge difference. So the expertise we've got, or we've built up as well over the years we've done this, is let's say the best practices in terms of structuring your CV and also your LinkedIn profile, and how to use, let's say, how to structure a portfolio and how to present your portfolio and how to link your portfolio, or provide links to your portfolio and all your CV, LinkedIn, etc. So I would say just while we're on this, but the importance of early on getting a LinkedIn profile right. I saw it again with a learner who early on in the program, we, let's say, repositioned him more closely to data science, and he was headhunted by someone. He got a really good position pretty much based on an early repositioning or rebranding process. So that's part of the, let's say, one element of the career coaching that is quite critical.
Which is excellent. And data scientists, recruiting data scientists often use web scraping techniques for LinkedIn to source, and things like Sales Navigator that certainly enable them to seek profiles that match their criteria. So having them, the new skills that learners obtain at the forefront is critical as well. Just before we get to our valued past learners, just on the next slide, I guess, I just wanted to touch on a couple of other things. I guess the no exams thing is important, and there's a question in the Q&A that we'll come to, but we find that certainly in many or some disciplines, exams are required to demonstrate competence or licensing requirements and things like that. It's quite traditional in that regard. However, it's not productive. And what I mean by productive is that I don't think anyone would take an exam to an interview. I don't think anyone is asked at an interview, what did you get on your exam? And I'm not sure that there are many opportunities of learning from an exam process where the correct answers to the questions you may not have got wrong, or you may have got wrong. So there's a mismatch between what employers are seeking, which is practical evidence of your skills, than what exams can provide. So that hence there's no exams in the program, and instead, as mentioned, it's project-based, building a portfolio of evidence the whole way through every one of the courses that you do. We've touched on the personalised career coaching and industry mentorship. So each fortnight there's an industry mentor that will host a drop-in to ensure that you adapt the learning outcomes to current industry trends all the way through as well. Employer connections and real-world data sets. Our learners are in the industry project, especially, and throughout the projects within the courses, always adapting their application of knowledge to both publicly and privately held data sets in some cases. And obviously there's a certificate of completion from Cambridge Institute of Continuing Education, which is esteemed globally as well. But boiling it down, employers aren't looking for people. And as Ali said, when we consulted on the design of the program, we were very, very strongly informed by employers that there's a gap. They're not just looking for people with just the technical knowledge or theoretical. They want candidates with real experience solving business problems using that technical knowledge for impact, and that's exactly what the program delivers. I'm just going to bring up a video now, a very quick video, before we get to Shan and Zarif. 1 second. I'll just get Sam to press play on that.
Congratulations, you have completed course 1, Applying Statistics and Core Data Science Techniques in Business. Take a moment to reflect on how much you have achieved so far. In these weeks, we have delved into the dynamic intersection of data science and business strategy. From mastering hypothesis testing to navigating the intricacies of regression analysis, you've honed your skills in making informed business decisions. We explored unsupervised learning, where we unveiled the secret of feature engineering, dimension reduction, and anomaly detection. We also learned that being a data scientist goes beyond technical know-how. It requires ethical considerations and an inclusive mindset. In the next course, we will do a deep dive into machine learning. In this comprehensive supervised learning course, you will be exposed to a strategic blend of machine learning modeling and practical business applications, equipping you with the skills needed to unravel valuable insight from complex datasets. You will practice translating data insight into actionable decisions that derive business excellence across a spectrum of organizational context. This will help you to take your first steps as a specialist data scientist. But before you move on to the next course, you will complete a reflection week to help you consolidate all that you have learned. Congratulations again, and best wishes for your journey ahead.
That's great, Dr. Ali, that you take the time and also recognise the progression of our valued learners. Just before I move on to the next slide and point, meeting Zarif, I just wanted to remind people the chat function already contains some valuable resources such as the course brochure, a link to book a time with your enrolment advisor, which I'll touch on again shortly. It's the best thing that you could do following this this session, and there's also a eligibility quiz to see if you're eligible, and I'll touch on eligibility a little bit later as well. But now we want to obviously hear from someone that's experienced what we've all spoken about thus far. So it does give me great pleasure to also welcome and to meet Zarif. Thank you once again for your time. I guess, can you dive a little deeper into your background and career to date for the audience?
Sure. So my background, like I said, it was in chemical engineering. My bachelor's specialism was in simulations. So we modeled like an entire process plant. My master's was in renewable energy networks. I don't know how familiar people are with that. And then, yeah, after my university MH degree, I worked in industry at Ocado, specialized in automated grocery fulfillment. And, you know, I was a graduate there, so I worked as a product manager, a product specialist, a full stack software engineer, which means, you know, it encompasses data science as well to some extent because I was able to use machine learning there as well, and project management too. And then I spent some time working in Japan for a year as a project manager, engineering, of course. And, you know, for me, like career-wise, I felt like it was time to move on to something else. And data science is what I chose. So I quit my job and basically studied this for the remaining 7 months of the course. And yeah, I'm very happy. Would really recommend it.
And I guess in your search and journey to discover and to make that big decision to change your careers, you obviously searched high and low. What stood out for you in terms of the career accelerator, ensuring it was going to enable you to achieve your intended outcomes?
For me, the key aspect of the course that really brought me on board was the employer project. You know, partnering with an employer, especially a really big one like the Bank of England, for instance, really is like reassuring and gave me like the confidence to believe that, you know, it would be aligned with industry. You know, the course made sure to use like the latest techniques. Often I think industries I used to hear would complain that like, academia is a bit behind industry, but this course wasn't like that. And I knew it wouldn't be because it was partnered with an employer.
Excellent. And lastly, we'd love to know about the career coaching aspect. As Fred said, when we survey our completing learners, it's often ranked the second highest next to the relevance of the content, and often somewhat surprising for learners, I guess. Maybe we need to put it at the forefront a little more. But do you feel it helped you to prepare to pivot your career into data science?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, Fred is my coach. He's really good, actually. So, yeah, honestly, I would recommend like career coaching as something that everyone should do throughout their career, even from a young age, as young as like 14, when you're figuring out what you want to do in life, wherever you work. I would really recommend it. It really helps you ask the right questions, figure out what you want to achieve in life, how you're going to achieve that, build confidence, various things. So yeah, honestly, everyone should have one. Like the best sports players, they all have coaches, right? So why wouldn't anyone else?
That's a good point. That's a great point. I didn't realize Fred was your coach. That's a great dynamic there. And thank you, Zarif. We'll come back with more questions from the audience in a moment as well. But if I can, I'd love to also now introduce Sean. Welcome once again. It's great to have you, and we can't wait to hear more. But Sean, you're from a genetic science background. I guess tell us about your decision to change or move or pivot career into using data science especially.
Yeah, so I didn't have a background in data science at all. I'm from a sort of pure biology background. I did a PhD in plant circadian clocks, and I did a few research posts, and I ended up working in the medical diagnostics field, also still doing some research. I've always had an interest in computing and bioinformatics, and I was generating a huge amount of data. But there's a limit to what I could do with it on my own, with my own training and what I could teach myself. I was fairly limited in what I could learn just by Googling. So I really felt that I needed to have more formal training, because I knew there were things out there that existed. There were tools, there was knowledge that could be used to solve some of these problems with the data I was generating. But I just didn't know what they were. So that was a big motivator for me in making the decision to move into data science.
That's excellent. And then yourself on a journey of discovery, as you've outlined, no doubt looked at many programs. Was there anything particular that attracted you to the Career Accelerator?
Yes, I looked at a lot of boot camps, but they didn't seem to really offer the depth that I was looking for. So that's one of the main things that interested me in this course was the range of techniques you learn about. And I really wanted to get a sort of foundational knowledge in as many techniques as possible in a shorter space of time as possible, that would really just fast track my learning. And that's what really attracted me. Also the practical aspects, because I didn't just want to learn theoretical knowledge. I wanted to come out of it with skills.
Good on you. That's well articulated. Regarding your experience in the industry project, I believe you were a team lead for your project. Tell us about that experience and how do you feel it set you up for industry?
Yeah, so we rotated the team lead each week. So I was the lead in the final week, which was the presentation week. And yeah, that was a great experience. I really enjoyed that. So my role at the end was just making sure we had the presentation done on time. We practiced it. We were ready to give it to the Bank of England representatives. I think that did really help set me up for industry because I'd never worked in a team remotely before. And we had time zone differences as well that we had to take account of. And we were working in pairs, programming pairs, checking each other's work, again, remotely. So that was just a really good learning experience of just other skills that you need for the industry.
Which are real world, aren't they? I mean, it's not dissimilar to this webinar where we're across 3 or 4 time zones with 6 of us in attendance. It is how the world works, obviously, and it's a real world scenario. Regarding your career coaching and outcomes, are you happy to share the outcomes of that?
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time doing my personal branding. So if anyone wants to look at my LinkedIn, it's very filled in now. It has a lot of information there. So at the moment, I'm exploring lots of different possibilities. I'm doing some small projects. I'm actually doing a project with Zarif at the moment as well. We're sort of independently doing projects. And I've been approached by some companies as well through LinkedIn to ask me to help them with projects as well.
No doubt the dynamic duo, there's a business opportunity there that I'm sure you're exploring together. I'm really, really impressed that you're continuing your valued networks that you've developed with your peers, but also applying that learning to valuable projects, no doubt. Sean, last one, and we want to get to some audience questions as well, but who would you recommend this program to or for? Is it, who would you recommend undertakes the program?
Well, from my perspective, I would really recommend it for career changers. And don't worry if you don't have a background in it, because I didn't. I knew a little bit of Python. I had a little bit of statistical knowledge. Obviously, working in science, I was used to working with data. But beyond that, I was able to learn everything. I think, if you're really committed to it and prepared to put the time in to learn, you can do it basically. Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe on the next slide, Sam, I might actually, aside from how the program supports your career goals that we've spoken about with the dedicated career coaching, which is not just, there's so much more to it, Fred, isn't there, than just CV support, interview prep and LinkedIn branding. And it's actually one-on-one sessions with a coach of the caliber of your good self, developing a suite of tools and techniques to ensure success, not only in the next career move, but probably everyone after that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would say it really depends. Each individual coaching process or program is customized. So, I mean, there's general stuff we cover, which is mentioned here, obviously your branding, CV, interview prep, LinkedIn, etc. But depending on where you are in your career, we obviously have a lot of learners who are making a transition, but they're not 100% clear what that looks like. So key or big picture or big decision making is part of the initial process for them. Some people have already decided what they want. They maybe are moving in the same industry or same field, same sector, and they want to be, let's say, looking at promotions and other, let's say, steps up within the organization or within the industry. So I think a key thing is it's customized. On average, we've got a minimum of 6 sessions spread over the program, and it looks like it's going to be probably, I mustn't commit to it now, but it looks like there's going to be support for 12 months on the program. The important thing is that each of the people or the learners may take the initiative to engage with the coaching and use the coaching. And again, as I said, each person has a different agenda, different goal, different areas to reach, and the coach structures their support for the individual. It's not sort of a box ticking exercise with everyone doing the same thing.
Exactly, and really good points that you raised. A couple of quick things before we move on. Just a reminder to use the Q&A function if you can, instead of the chat function for questions. We want to get to those questions, and I can see some really, really good questions in the chat. If you can put them in the Q&A, that's where I'll be looking at the questions. I thought it also important to touch on who your peers may be. Obviously, there's Sean or the learners the caliber of Sean and Zarif, but the average age of student is actually early 30s. There's 5 areas in which their backgrounds come from, be it executives, be it research, be it technical, be it academic and the last one, I haven't got the screen in front of me, is I can't recall. We've got a smaller bucket of learners that are making a transition from other areas as well. But it is amazing to see the melting pot that is the learner cohorts and the value that I think Sian and Zarif have already demonstrated in the value of that network that you will develop, both all throughout the program in the interactions that you have, be it during the live sessions, during the discussions in the forums or the program we call Circle, and especially during the industry project as well. Fred touched on something there that I'd like to inform the audience of. And one of the questions about what we've changed in the program, I'll come to actually first. One of the things that we have changed for how many, so Nicola's asked, for how many years has this course been running? What have you learned since it started? And what areas have you improved? We dynamically and proudly continuously improve the program based on our learner feedback, based on industry feedback as well. But Fred touched on it also. One of the things that we did learn early on with this particular career accelerator was that with 70% looking to change careers into data science, many learners did want to get the learning under their belt prior to developing the skills and confidence to apply for new roles. So therefore, the coaching model that we're proud to offer for early applications for the upcoming presentation in April will be extended to enable you to be coached during the program, but also for 6 months following the program, ensuring again that you've got a better chance of achieving your outcome, which is certainly our North Star metric as an organisation as well. There is one more slide before I get to the questions, is there not? I think from memory. So registrations for the Data Science with Machine Learning and AI Career Accelerator close on the 14th of April, with the course commencing a week following. Entry requirements are as follows. An undergraduate degree that features at least 1 unit of quantitative studies, mathematics, statistics or similar, and at least 1 year of work experience in a field related to data or business analytics. I might ask Ali, we've got many learners that have data within their roles, and I think that's an important clarification. We've had sales managers that use data, for example, but it doesn't need to be a data analyst role specifically. But have you got some examples or clarification on what could constitute a year of experience using data?
Thank you, Daniel. So is that the clarification for the admission?
Yeah, the year of experience.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's when we started this, we need to make sure that the candidate being admitted in this course go smoothly and build an experience. And because it's a career change, we need some prerequisites. But this 1 year experience in the industry as a data analytics, know how to deal with data, a little bit of Python as a basic or intermediate level. They have to demonstrate that through the self-assessment course. Understanding about data engineering, concept about dealing with the data. They have knowledge about specific type of data, the kind of sector, for example, working in the healthcare data or financial sector. That's absolutely fine. Learn about some qualitative data as well. So they can demonstrate that through the assessment. We're going to do it for them. Or they can put it in their CV and we can assess that accordingly. But 1 year, it's crucial to demonstrate that experience.
Exactly. And the last one is a basic working knowledge of Python. We have assets for people that haven't worked with Python previously to assist you build your skills and confidence up between now and the commencement of the program, where there's a short technical test. And I might ask Sam if she can find it to also link a webinar that I hosted recently on this specific topic about how to develop those Python skills that are required. It doesn't need to be at an advanced level, your Python experience, but enough to make a successful commencement to the program using Python rather than learning the basics at the start as well. From here, though, you've got a team behind you, including our enrolment advisors. Some of you will have already had a conversation with them, but the best thing that you can do is discuss your individual needs and requirements and motivations. Sam has just dropped that webinar in there in the chat function. But to get honest guidance from your enrolment advisor regarding the benefits of the program for yourself, or the fact that it may need to be in the future that you take it after the development of further skills enabling success in the program. We don't want you to not get the return on investment that you are seeking, as it is a considerable investment of time and money. For those of you that aren't aware, the price for the program is £8,395, and we do offer a reduction in those fees for learners electing to pay up front of £500. Or, as you will find out in speaking with your enrolment advisor, we very proudly offer access and make it more accessible to people via the application of fees over a payment plan, be that a 6-month plan, for example, with no fees and no interest, or we have a partner in StepX that can spread payments over a 24-month period, again, with no interest associated with them. But please book a time with your enrolment advisor, or even myself potentially as well, because that's the best thing that you can do to get that individual guidance to best assist you. Let's get to some questions from the audience. What is the format of the evaluation platform and the projects? I've experienced in the past in other institutions deficient project coordination and glitches in evaluation platforms. I'm not quite sure, but Ali, Dr. Ali, or anyone else, I guess that's questioning the assessment of the mini and major projects that are submitted along the way, which is very different, I think, to what someone may have experienced previously.
Yeah, thank you very much. In terms of the format of project, you ask the student to submit. We are using Google Colab for the code and for the project explanation and evaluation as well, and reflections, plus submitting a report alongside the project itself. So evaluation, we do. It's a human, so that the tutor who's going to teach you the module is going to assess that. And in terms of the evaluation, the project itself, it's a requirement in advance, and the assessment brief contains some requirements, and you have to, as a student, as a learner, you have to satisfy these requirements in terms of the marking grid, and there will be also the industry mentor as well will give you feedback regarding that. But probably I'm the course leader. You can also, I would like to ask Zarif or Shan about their experience in terms of the project format evaluation. What do you think, Shan?
Yeah, I think the projects, we had a mark scheme, and then we got feedback on each point of the mark scheme, whether we'd met it or not. And then I know we could book appointments with tutors afterwards to discuss our projects if people wanted to. So there was that available to us.
Okay, thank you. I hope we answered the question. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the feedback piece is so valuable, as I outlined earlier. It's often where we learn a great deal in identifying where we weren't able to demonstrate competence. Wallace has asked, thank you, Wallace. You've got a couple of questions here. When will the real-world project partners be confirmed? Does it typically happen once a course begins? We are constantly engaging with our existing and new industry partners that we're really, really proud to be launching. So it will be closer to the time. Not every partner has a project in every presentation. Some use time to have a break or reassess which piece of their business may provide the most value to the learners or need for the businesses as well. But on the horizon, we've got some really, really exciting ones bring to the Career Accelerator as well. One of the world's largest automotive companies using data science to look at their global expansion. One of the largest retailers, world's largest retailers also. I'm not sure of the subject of that one as well. And we're also in discussion with a healthcare provider currently as well. So we're trying to provide, and that's hence part of the reason to ask that survey question at the start, is to align projects with learners' intended outcomes as well. So we can't guarantee every partner will be a part of every cohort, but we'll have equally as inspiring projects available for every cohort. I think it's best to say. Madeline has asked, how many live lectures are there per week? Are they taking place at specific times? It varies week to week. I'll answer this one quickly, but there is a weekly live session where you do get a choice between a lunchtime or an evening. They are recorded. They usually occur on one day, selected day per week, but they are recorded also if you can't attend live, enabling you to celebrate your birthday, for example, and not miss out on the lectures moving forward. So you do get a choice of time, Madalena, to attend. You've also asked, Madalena, thank you for your contribution here, and we've got heaps of questions to get through, so I'm going to try and be a little bit rapid fire here. Wallace has asked, are the limitation of approaches covered? How much theory math is covered? Ali, do you want to answer that one briefly? How much theory or math is covered? It's in mainly, obviously, course one.
Yeah, it's a good question. When we designed that we were keen to reduce the amount of math over there. It's a practical and a career accelerator, and we consider that a diverse group coming from people who math is not their strongest element in their career. So that was a challenge for us when we designed the course, but we tried our best to teach you to that course, and especially the math side, without involving you with the math. It's about coding and learning and the concept and working with the data and machine learning as well. And how can you satisfy the business needs from the data? That is our intention. But Willis, thank you. Good course. The good question.
Excellent question. Thank you kindly. I've got a question for Sean. Oh, actually, Zarif. How realistic is 20 hours a week? And Ando's asked, can it be done while working full time?
Sure. So 20 hours a week is pretty realistic, to be honest. I found it would fluctuate sometimes a little bit. Sometimes it would be a little less. Sometimes it would be a little more. But on average, 20 hours was pretty solid.
Yep.
I personally wasn't working, but there were plenty of other people on the course who were working and doing the course. So it's definitely possible.
Yeah, with the majority being asynchronous, it is designed for and hence the flexibility of a lunchtime or evening live session as well. Benjamin's asked, how is it decided which industry partners one cooperates with your success management team or the success manager? They will obtain information from learners prior when there's a choice of projects upcoming, and allocate those accordingly, mostly to your wishes, but also grouping people together with a variety of experience. We don't want 5 people interested in fintech, for example. We want a diverse range of learners on a project team. So there's a lot of strategy behind it, but also your input will come into that as well. Madalena, I've got some more questions from you. What is Alexander's asked here, and I'm trying to get through as many questions as we can, as quick as we can, but forgive me if we skip a few. But what is a self-assessment course? Something we have to do prior to being accepted. So there's a couple of questions in here regarding the entry criteria again. If you know Python, if you have a unit of study previously that is quantitative in nature and a year of data-related experience, you won't need to do the technical test. If you need to learn Python, we will help you with that, first and foremost, with some assets and prepare you for the technical test. The technical test is straightforward. It's not timed. It is 13 questions, 10 of which are multiple choice and 3 are basic coding questions. It's not that you need to be intermediate even or advanced in Python. It is that you need to obtain the basic skills So I'll group that together with the assessment or the entry criteria questions here, and I'll skip some of those that are duplicating in the questions as well. Vereena's asked, does the program only start in spring every year, or is it possible to also start in autumn? We have 4 intakes, Vereena. Thank you for your question. We had one in February. We have this one in April, July, and October. We do cap our learner numbers per presentation, and that's for the learner outcomes. If we open this up globally for 200 or 300 learners at a time, it would dictate that we would need to have 15 or 20 learners on a project team, for example, which would dilute, we feel, your learning experience. Therefore, we keep the numbers lower per presentation, but have 4 presentations per year, ensuring that your learning experience is what you'd expect of a program of this nature with Cambridge. And therefore, there's 5 or 6 on a project team on average. And I think there was a question about that as well. Does the employer and Ando's asked, does the employer project cover building solutions or apps with LLMs or agents? No, it would depend though on the project. Is there anything else, Sean or Zarif, you'd like to include there in that regard? You don't have to.
Didn't quite hear the question, but I heard something related to LLMs. The Bank of England project that we did was related to generative AI and language models. I'm sure that, I mean, Dr. Holly is probably better suited to answer this question, I think, but, the scope of the projects might change. So it's entirely possible that the project that you do might have agents, because, they're using the latest techniques. So why not?
Exactly. Good, well put, and thank you. There's a question there on Python packages. Which Python packages will be used mostly? Who'd like to answer that? Sean or Ali? Ali.
Yeah, I did mention that it's a Google Colab, and because that's something we try to make it consistent across the whole course. So we are using Google Colab about that.
And Python packages, and Abraz also asked regarding that.
Including that, yeah. Google Colab, which is the Python packages as well, including that.
And obviously that's hosted in the cloud for your question, Abra. Thank you kindly. I'm just going through the questions as well. Does the course cover potentially building development in a limited sense of bespoke generative AI model? Yes, in many ways, but would someone like to elaborate on that one? Does the course cover potentially building development in a limited sense of a bespoke generative AI model?
I can answer, but also Zarif and Sean can answer that. Yes, it's part of the development, the course 4, and it's also they did something in the project. But if you tell me developing a full LLM, no, they're just part of the project. Can you just clarify that, Sean or Zarif, about that, because it's an important question, please.
I'm trying to find the question on the Q&A to try and read it and understand it a bit better. But it sounded like the question is more geared towards, are we creating our own language model from scratch? That's what it kind of sounded like to me. I think that's quite an advanced technique. I've actually applied for a research internship that would be looking at developing my own language model specifically. Like I said, the Bank of England project that we did use language models, and we set up like a Q&A chatbot that would use language models to answer questions for us based on the data that we would feed into the model. We used RAG as well. So yes, it kind of depends. I need to see the question a bit better, but yeah.
Okay, we've got 5 minutes to go, so we're going to get through some more questions. We've still got a lot of questions in there, which has been fantastic. Thank you. And I'm actually happy to stick around for another 10 minutes and answer some of the application-specific or course-specific ones. But whilst we have a team here to answer questions, let's make the full use of them. Madalena's asked, what other portfolio activities consisting of? So, Sean, can you, I guess, paint the picture for the audience of the portfolio development through the mini and major projects that you complete along the way?
Yes, so I have to remember them all now. So the portfolio projects are kind of the culmination of each teaching module, where you have to put into practice what you've learned within that. So we cover things like supervised learning techniques, building prediction models, classification models. We did some of them are smaller and some of them are larger. So one of the larger ones we did was doing topic modeling, and also bringing an LLM into that as well and comparing their performance. That was a big part of the portfolio activities, was trying different methods and comparing them, and then producing a report at the end to try and extract insights from our analysis and assess how well our models had worked. So that's a kind of overview.
Perfect. Fred, there's a question almost near the top regarding a mature job seeker. I might ask that person to send Fred a direct message to answer that offline, if that's all right, or book a time with your enrolment advisor, as we would be passionate about helping anyone and have had experience in assisting mature age job seekers. I know that there's one in the current program that is of a similar level of experience, shall we say. Ali, there's 3 questions I'm going to bundle together for yourself. From an academic perspective, would you be able to apply for a PhD later down without a master's and just this level 7 certification? What academic level is the course equivalent to? And for jobs that require a master's degree, would this be suitable to apply to these roles with? So it's all relating to the certification.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, this course is non-award bearing, but it's equivalent to level 7 courses. So that's important to highlight. In terms of applying PhD, in the UK, you can apply for PhD from your BSc if you that's eligible without having a master anyway. Having this course is going to help you to demonstrate your capability. So yes, it's going to help you. And in the UK, it's not required to have a master to apply for PhD. The third question was about, can you remind me about the master? All right.
Yeah, applying for roles that require a master's, can they
Yes.
align with that requirement?
Well, I am not going to be the employer, but you're going to demonstrate you have learned the level 7 skills, but out of this course, you are not going to get any degree out of it, award. It's non-award bearing. But from my experience, people's going to consider that carefully. And also the skills you are going to learn from this course, and you're going to demonstrate in the interview, that's going to help you to get the job. And by the way, once you finish your course, I'm acting, or the group of panel tutors going to help you to write a reference for you. But as I mentioned, this is not a degree or award. This is a certificate.
Exactly. And I guess that ties in with one question, and we've just gone to time. So I must say, I'm going to hang around and answer some more questions because there are so many, and it's so great to see from the audience. But if any of the panel do have other commitments, please feel free to exit. I'd like to say thank you to you if you do need to go. And thank you to the audience, obviously, for being so engaged. But if anyone has a couple of minutes and wants to answer some other questions, feel free to join me in that as well. How does the Career Accelerator stand out in terms of how valuable it is from an industry's eyes? And I might engage Fred a bit on this one. Sorry, I haven't directed any to you recently, Fred. But the Career Accelerator standing out in terms of how valuable it is in industry's eyes versus other programs or even a master's in data science. What is significantly different by the ICE program? We've touched on so much of that already, but in your experience, how have people positioned their learning outcomes and experiences from a Career Accelerator in the practical sense, as opposed to, say, in this example, a master's?
Yeah, I think one of the let's say more specific values is that employer project, we've encouraged learners to add it as work experience. So that, let's say you can feature Bank of England as your employer. You're on a contract, for example, on LinkedIn, and then you just elaborate that it's part of a group project that you're involved in. But the fact that you can add in, let's say for someone who hasn't had data science experience, that you can include it in your branding, that you've had, let's say, work experience, and it becomes, let's say, a point of discussion when you engage with an organization. So in normal cases, you wouldn't be able to do that. It would go under education. You'd obviously have it under education, but the employer project, it's an actual work experience. So it adds value in that context. I think that's probably one of the most, let's say, most obvious areas where it is different to a lot of the other courses that you might consider doing.
Exactly, and well said, and it's such benefit to do that. Also, let's not forget, I guess we mentioned it earlier, being designed with employers who told us explicitly that they're frustrated recruiting master's graduates with no practical business application of those technical skills, and that's this Career Accelerator design. It's been designed to solve that exact issue on the back of the employer input as well. Can this course be extended to an award-bearing certification? Not as yet, no. It's a certification, as Dr. Ali has mentioned, although it is held in high regard from both industry and others around the world as well. There's another mature age job seeker, Fred. If that Anando is happy to reach out directly just with a message, or book a time with your enrolment advisor and explain that you were as a part of the webinar, we would like to assist. Madalena's asked, how do Zarif and Shan stay up to date with industry knowledge and continue their data science learning after completing the Career Accelerator? Great question, but I think we've already had that answered. But I guess, Shan and Zarif, do you want to repeat some of what you have mentioned, or are there other things that you do to keep up to date?
Yeah, I can just say I've been going to online conferences and attending workshops to further my skills, basically. And that's what's been great about this, is I feel I can follow along with those now, and I can understand them. I've got the basic knowledge to be able to attend these really high level events and learn more.
Zarif, anything that you'd like to share?
No, mine's pretty much the same. Conferences, whether it's online or in person, there's online courses you can do. Hugging Face has some. There's one on agents that me and Sean are both actually doing at the moment. There's LinkedIn has courses as well on whether it's data science or life sciences, drug discovery. And then I think people also tend to talk about what they're working on, like almost like published to some extent on LinkedIn as well. So there's loads of communities you can follow on LinkedIn as well. So, and then obviously there's research papers too that you can read. The community, like data science, is quite open source, right? So you can follow along.
Exactly. Joe's got a great question here. If your dissertation equivalent to 2 modules contain quantitative methods of research, is that sufficient to meet the undergraduate entry requirement, or does it need to be its own module? Joe, we will be able to assist, and I will dare say that it will be more than enough. We do have a process with Ali directly, Dr. Ali directly. If we consider someone as an edge case, for example, Ali will review personally and advise us if there's anything that you need, or you will just say, yep, let grant entry to that person. But I dare say, if it's a dissertation equivalent to 2 modules, you'll be fine. And someone else has asked about that as well. What was the answer to the dissertation question? You're in a similar boat. So best thing to do, speak with your enrolment advisor first. They will guide you through the process of application, which currently is uploading your transcripts or your academic qualification, your resume, your proof of identity, and a 1-page personal statement, which is very straightforward. And there is also a template that we can provide as well. Wallace has asked, do you match students with people that have knowledge of specific industry they are targeting? Fred, I guess that means coaches. I'm not sure, but I think we get this question somewhat commonly, as in, will my coach be a data scientist? Do you want to explain why not, potentially?
Yeah, sure, Daniel. In general, coaching support would be process focused rather than content focused. All the coaches have now been working with 4th Rev on basically a number of digital courses. We've obviously worked with LSE as well, London School of Economics, with data analytics, digital marketing, etc. So there are a number of courses in these areas. And for most of us who are coaching, we've been, let's say, exposed to the challenges faced by data scientists and obviously data analysts, etc. as well. So one has, at least most of us are quite familiar with the challenges and the key terminology, but none of us are data scientists or data analysts. Our focus is on the process, and the process is, let's say, the understanding the individual, and we're looking at, normally the process would involve a stock take in terms of your skills, your qualifications, your personality type, even your key goals, and then the process or the routes that you can look at or that you can consider to achieve your particular career goals. And again, because the range of learners we work with across different sectors, the idea that the common thread from the coaching point of view is an understanding of people, and posing the right kind of questions to help you engage with the market out there in terms of the career opportunities. But let's say in terms of setting expectations, I would say I have a pretty good understanding. I have a brother who's a data scientist lecturer, to the extent that helps. But let's say all of us are interested in the digital fields that people are looking for, are focused on in terms of their careers with 4th Rev. And also, again, I would say we are experts on branding yourself, your best way to present yourself on your CV, your LinkedIn, how to structure a portfolio, putting an effective portfolio together, interview prep, and then behavioral issues. So obviously a lot of learners could be looking at career advancement or promotion, and there could be leadership development, team skills development. So the range of areas that we are involved in is very, very broad. But the key skill set is let's say the idea that we can really listen, and we can give you, and we can reflect back and provide guidelines around the tools that you need to get the positions that you're aspiring for.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Roberto's asked, and I've got to finish it up shortly. There's a couple of technical questions as well. I've noticed that on average there are more than 300 candidates applying for jobs in this area. A colleague of mine faced 300 candidates to get a job. Isn't the sector saturated or mega competitive? I gave some statistics at the start that demonstrated the demand, but I think part of working with a career coach such as Fred is identifying the right role for people as well. And just to give you some examples, instead of one wanting to obtain a role that is, say, hyper focused on a particular area in a large corporate environment, that might be a foot in the door, but might not provide the width and breadth of experience that, say, a startup would. There's considerations there. Some roles that people are applying for, and I know that the coaches have dissuaded people from applying to, because they're not actually of the substance that they are at the level of to apply for. So there's many things, Roberto, in relation to that. But number one, Cambridge on your resume, someone like the Bank of England on your resume is going to put you so far ahead of so many other candidates. And lastly, having that practical experience, but also I encourage people to do more. Anything that you can do, not only taking a program such as this and investing in yourself, picturing yourself at the end, working on amazing projects such as what Sean and Zarif are doing, achieving your intended career outcomes, but enabling that to occur. Sometimes it's the little things that you can undertake that might be that much more than some of your competitors for a role. And that could be volunteering, for example. I've said this before across other career accelerators, but in my own experience, in between roles many years ago, I volunteered. And when I went for the next interview, they said, "What are you currently doing?" I said, "I'm actually volunteering, and here's the experience I gained in doing so." It was impressive for them to see. So it could be a charity, it could be a non-government entity, or even in one of your kids' sporting clubs that may not understand or use data to any extent. If you can volunteer and help them in the data science aspect, gather data, source data, wrangle it, present it in a way that enables their ability to attract members or whatever it might be, is a great thing to have on your resume as well. Roberto, great question. And I'm going to take one or two more. I don't know the answer to this, Roberto. Is matrix calculus part of the course? Sean and Zarif, do you know anything about that? Because I know nothing about that.
I can cover it briefly, and maybe Sean can follow up. You know, I did matrices in A levels, and I covered it in university too. So, in terms of matrix calculus, it depends what you mean by that specifically. Maybe Sean can cover that a bit more.
There's one a little bit below. Sorry, I'll just come back on video after sneezing. From Roberto, that explains it a little bit in more depth. Approach to matrix calculus, showing techniques that allow you to think of a matrix holistically, not just as an array of scalars, generalize and compute derivatives of important matrix factorizations, and understand how differentiation formulas must be reimagined in large-scale computing. Does that help you answer that, Zarif?
When I did it at university, it wasn't applied to computing, but rather, you know, engineering. From the sound of it, it's somewhat related. I don't think we covered that specifically on the course. It's not supposed to be super mathematical. It's not crazy theory. It's more applied and real world.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'd just say
sorry,
I just want to say I didn't study calculus at A level or university, and there were points where it touched on concepts relating to that, but I was able to follow. I just went and looked up extra information, watched some YouTube videos, read chapters of books online, and I was able to follow it, but probably not at the depth that you're talking about.
Exactly. Umair's asked, as someone from a mathematical statistical background, is it possible to dive deeper into the mathematics? Is there any resource for that? Umair, if you download the brochure, you'll also receive, if you haven't already, as I'm sure you have, and Sam, can you just take down Umair's name and I'll send this, or you can link it. There is the course unit overviews available to you that dive in depth into what you'll cover every week in the program. So do please familiarise yourself with that. Wallace has asked, how often will you review update? It's a very fast sector and new methods delivered. Excellent question. And I think it's a huge point of difference in that we do it constantly, to be honest. And we do that in a number of ways. Firstly, through our industry engagement, but secondly, through our student feedback, our learner feedback as well, that we've acted on quite quickly previously. It is important that it is dynamic, as we know content that was developed, like a master's potentially 2 years ago is potentially out of date. So we'll always cover, and also the projects enable us, the in-course projects that you submit to build a part of your portfolio will change dynamically accordingly. And the industry projects up to the minute live, as is the support you receive from your industry mentor as well. Good question, Wallace. Thank you kindly for your input. You've got a couple as well. I'm going to leave it there though. Sean, there is one more question from Wallace about the example of technical depth that you covered. I think we'll leave it there. Sorry, Wallace, because we've taken up way more time than I planned on doing so for our guests. But I do want to take a moment just to say, firstly, thank you to the panelists, Fred, Sean and Zarif. Thank you ever so kindly. It's been invaluable to hear your insights and experience when supporting learners or going through the learning process. But then I want to just thank the audience as well for there's still such a large number of you in attendance. You've made a decision today that's one step towards you achieving your intended career outcome and investing in yourself. It's a great thing to do. Do more of it with the resources that we've provided, first and foremost, especially the opportunity of downloading the brochure and booking a time with your friendly enrollment advisor. They're not hard sell trained at all. They're trained to have a deep conversation with you about you and aligning what might work best for you. That's what it's all about. So take that next step. Speak to those around you also about your commitment. It is a big commitment to do 20 hours a week over 7 months or more. So be it family, be it colleagues, be it anyone that may be impacted by your unavailability to go out for drinks on a Friday night for 7 months or so, given that you'll be making sacrifices, but also learning is the main thing. Just be aware that they are part of your decision-making process potentially, and be aware of the pride that they'll have in your achievement, not only graduating your certification from Cambridge, but applying that learning to your new role in the future as well. Zarif, Shan, thank you ever so kindly. It was an inspiration to hear about your learning journey, and may we continue to celebrate your outcomes furthermore as a part of our valued alumni. Well done, everyone. Thank you kindly, and take the next step by booking a time with your enrolment advisor or myself. And thanks, Sam, for helping in the background. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Cheerio.
Bye.